Okay, this lesson is going to cover how we can use the image that we saved from the NASA foil sim site to create an airfoil within SolidWorks. So we're going to go to the CAD CAM folder and find our SolidWorks software. We have a CAM package running that needs to get relicensed, so just ignore that message if that comes up. And get straight into SolidWorks here. First thing I'd like you to do is go to New, and we're going to select a part file for the type of file that we want to create. And before we get started drawing our airfoil or bringing our photo in, I want to make sure the document parameters are set up with the right units and so forth. So we're going to go to Options and select the tab here that says Document Properties. We're going to set it to ANSI Standards right here, and then you're going to hit the Units selection and make sure yours is set on inches, pounds, and seconds. We're going to be using inches to draw this. So once we've got that set up, I'm going to go rather slowly here, so if you're a SolidWorks user, just be patient. Number of folks first time opening up SolidWorks. We have a series of planes that are set up for us to sketch on, and I'm going to make that front plane visible simply by hovering over here, using my right mouse button and turning the glasses on, and now I can see my front plane. Up here, this allows us to change the orientation of the view. It's pretty straightforward. If we select a plane on this cube, it'll rotate our view to that orientation and we can look straight on. Alright, so that's how we change the angle of our view, by going to this and selecting the orientation that's best suited for our sketch. To make the image larger or smaller, the scroll button on the center button on your mouse allows you to zoom in and out. If you hold that button down, it allows you to change the orientation. Be careful, because it's going to make sketching a little more complicated. If you get yourself goofed up in your view, just jump back to this cube and select the one that allows us to look at it straight on. Okay. The next thing we want to do is actually create a sketch on this plane, and you need to tell SolidWorks that this is where you want to start drawing. So I'm going to go to Sketch, and I can come in here to Front Plane, and I've just clicked with my left mouse, and this will create a sketch on that front plane. I'm going to come up here to my Rectangle tool and select the corner rectangle, and to start, I want to create a rectangle that's going to help us scale our airfoil photo when we bring it in. We're going to delete this after we scale our image, but this will help you guide the scaling of your image. So go ahead and click and drag, close that out, and we have a rectangle. We want to set a size to that rectangle, so we're going to come up here to Smart Dimension, and we're going to set the length of this at 3. If you remember, in Foil Sim, we set it to the chord length to 0.25 feet, which is a quarter of a foot, which is 3 inches. We're going to set the height of this to the thickness of our foam, just to make sure that we're going to be able to fit our airfoil in the foam. And I'm going to go ahead and click there and then change that value to 1.5. We now have a rectangle to help guide us with our scaling of our JPEG image. Okay. If we come up here to the SolidWorks tab and you scroll over to Tools and follow me down, buried in Sketch Tools is an option to bring in a picture, Sketch Picture. If we go to the folder that we saved our image from, we saved it out of PowerPoint, we can open up that image and it will bring it in, and now we have the option of moving this image around and rescaling it. You want to leave the lock aspect ratio selected, and we're going to move this and scale this so that, and if you remember, if you use your center scroll button, we can move around, and depending on where you hover, that will be where you where it zooms in. If I hover over here, it zooms into that portion. So I want to keep working my image. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Go back and square it up. I want to keep working my image until I get the airfoil to just fit inside. Oops, I keep hitting that center scroll button. Till I get that image to just barely fit in that rectangle. You can see that the tail end of my wing, there's plenty of room. So if I leave it like this, my airfoil is going to be too small. I want to size it so that it just fits. And it's going to take a little practice moving this around, but take your time. If you lose the handles on your sketch, if those go away, you can come back over here. Let me just rebuild my sketch. I can come over here and hit this plus button, come down to Sketch Picture, right click and go to Feature Properties, and it will reactivate those handles, and then I can go back to moving and sizing my image till I get it to fit inside the box. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Now I think I have exited out of my sketch because you can see that it's no longer indented here. So I need to go back to that sketch to get rid of that box. I don't need it anymore. So if I come over here and come up to this option, it will say Edit Sketch, and I can begin working on my airfoil. So this has activated that box again, and the first thing I want to do is get rid of it because it's going to create some problems for us. Do not delete don't delete your picture. Be careful not to select the picture and delete that. So my airfoil now is ready for me to start tracing. The tool that we're going to use to draw the airfoil itself is called the Spline command, and it's a little tricky at first, so try to click along as I click. If you click and make too many points, it's hard to adjust the shape to match your airfoil. So grab the Spline command. I usually start with the leading edge. Oops, this manager out of the way. I'm going to put another one. I think I'm going to try to get away with as few as possible. I'm going to put one here. I'm going to put one, see if I can get with just one on the tail. Maybe I'll put one here, right at the highest point on the under part of the wing. And then I'm going to go right back on top of where I was and click. And you can see that it's created a shape that's close, but doesn't quite match my airfoil. If you hit the Escape button, it'll take you out of the Spline command. That's one way to get out of it. I'm going to check this out, rather. And now if I click on these points, I can activate these handles and move them up and down, and start to modify the shape of my spline. Often you'll find that it's, in addition to using the handles, you're going to need to move the points. If you play around a little bit, you can get these splines to pretty much trace the image that you've borrowed from the foil sim site. Now that's getting close. Got a little bit of extra thickness here, but I don't want to go too thin here because as we machine that foam, it's likely to break. So I don't want to bring that in too far. I think we're pretty good with that thickness there. So on that tail end, this keeps getting in my way. If you don't like a point that you have, you can always come in here and delete a point just by clicking on it. You can delete that point. I'm going to undo, Control Z. If you want to add an additional point, if you right click, you can add tangency control, and oops, I'm sorry, that's not what I meant to hit. I want to select that spline and right click and insert spline point. Excuse me, there we go. So if I wanted another point there, I could add one. And that might give me a little more control as I get to the back end of this wing. If you click on the point, you get these handles, which kind of allows you to change the way the tangency is working. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that shape. Once you're all set with the shape, you come up here to Exit Sketch, and then we're going to go to Features and go to Extruded Boss. If we select our shape, it's now going to ask us how far do we want to extrude that. And if you remember, we set 12 inches or 1 foot as the length of our wing. So that's it. We now have our airfoil. And if you hold the center mouse button down, you can kind of take a look at it from a few different angles. This is what it's going to look like when it's all cut out of foam. In order to machine it, we're going to take this file in the next lesson and we're going to create a bottom version and a top version so that we can accurately machine it on the ShopBot. But before we do that, I want to make a copy or save a copy of this. So we're going to go to Save. Going to keep it in that same folder where we started, IT Airfoil folder, and again I'm going to call it last name, first initial, Airfoil. And even though it has the same name, it has a different file type, so we can give it the same name. Alright, that wraps it up for this lesson.